Welcome back. The timestamps, as always, can be found in the description box. Let's get straight to story number 1. Opie writes, I had an argument with my fiancé this morning. We've been dating for 2 years, engaged since September, and for the most part, everything has been going well. We've been planning a quiet backyard ceremony so that we can save up for a house instead. We've been communicative and managed to get through fights in the past, but this takes the cake. He's been evasive for the past 2 weeks about the wedding or any future plans we've made, and I basically had to corner him this morning before leaving for work to ask him what's going on. Turns out, while he was dog-sitting for his uncle early in February, they had a chat that stuck with him. When they were talking about life and how things have been, his uncle admitted he resented his ex-wife for baby-trapping him, and now he's divorced while his ex-wife is dating again. And my fiancé's cousin is an entitled asshat who terrorized him when they were both teenagers. Turns out it's been sitting in his mind. He says that he thinks I'm about to spring a pregnancy announcement on him and trap him in the marriage. This is despite the fact that he knows that I don't want kids. I basically raised my siblings and lost out on my childhood. I told him about not wanting kids when we first started dating. We were both on the same page, and I've asked him about getting a vasectomy in the past, which is why it's surprising that he thinks that I'm trying to baby trap him. Thing is, the first chance I got, which still took a long time, I got my tubes tied. I literally can't get pregnant. I reminded him of this fact, and that made him go really quiet. He didn't even apologize or say anything. So I told him that if he's going to be like this over a made-up issue in his head, I don't know how much I trust him in a real crisis. Now I'm wondering if I was too harsh and what steps we can take to move forward, or if I'm the right amount of angry and I should just end it. I have no idea what to do right now. Well, here's Opie's update. It's been an exhausting week, both at home and work. Basically, we're not engaged anymore. He's moving back to his parents and our relationship is over while he works on himself. To answer some questions, no, he wasn't cheating nor was there a secret baby on the side. Half a yes to him having second thoughts. Half a yes to him being influenced by family and friends. I won't go too much into the details, just that his uncle's family were always awful to him. They were always the go-to babysitters, and he has trouble standing up to that generation of his family. He's impressionable, and he has trouble separating fact from fiction because of that and them. Another factor is that one of his formerly child-free friends announced his wife's pregnancy during New Year's, and he's been excited about it. My ex-fiancé is wondering if he changed his mind, especially since his parents do want to have grandchildren, and have been asking if we're going to wait before having them. After dog-sitting for his uncle, apparently all that combined in his mind that I changed my mind. And I'd surprise him about it, which is the core of the matter for me. Whether he forgot I had my tubes tied doesn't matter. He was projecting his fears, anxiety and trauma onto me and punishing me for something that I didn't even do or say, and then made me out to be a deceptive partner because of that projection. He stopped trusting me because he was afraid of what the warped version he built up in his mind might do. That wasn't okay, and that's why I ended it. He's been moving his stuff out all week, and he told me he's going back into therapy. His parents will be there to help him, and they separately apologized to me. They had no idea how bad his anxiety is. I'll be there to support him as a friend, and I've been trying to say that it's on pause, but typing this out also makes me realize that no matter what, I wouldn't be able to win against those fears, nor can I trust him to ever really fully trust me against them. Thanks for your input, Reddit. Some of the thoughts did help me steer the conversation, but ultimately it still boiled down to a broken trust, and I don't think we're coming back from that. Well, Opie, it's better and easier to break off an engagement than to go through a divorce. And your ex-fiancé sounds very confused. He's scared that you're going to baby trap him with your tied tubes. And then on the other hand, he's saying that, his parents would like grandchildren eventually. As if that's a good reason to start a family because somebody else wants it. Story number 2. Opie writes, I, male 26, lent my dad, male 76, $5,100 to pay for my sister's, female 33, nursing school, and he refuses to pay me back. What is the best way to get my money back? My older sister hasn't worked since 2017 due to focus on being a mother and bad luck, I guess. She has 3 children and lives off of her husband's loan salary. Our dad took it upon himself to begin paying for her to go to nursing school, 18-month program, guaranteed job. He came to me in September 2022 and asked for $400 in order to not only pay for her school, but also daycare and part of her rent. He promised to pay it back in 2 months. I come back in 2 months and he guilt-trips me by saying he doesn't have the money and that all the expenses are too much for him to pay me back until she graduates. So I let it go and forget it. Over the course of those months, he asked for an estimate of $1,100 to cover the same expenses in addition to her nursing exam. Most recently, $500 last night. He asked me to keep this a secret from my sister and my mother, female 63. I'm at my breaking point because I was in the process of recovering from using my entire savings to pay off student loans and unemployment for 6 months. It got to the point where I was walking in the rain and snow home because I do not have the money to call an Uber. I don't really know when this will end, as he's also paid for my other sister, female 32, school, while I was left to deal with my expenses. My hope is to buy a house one day, but the constant roadblock is him and my sister's expenses. She starts her job this Monday, finally, but I don't know if this will ever end. How can I get my hard-earned money back? Edit. I'm going to speak to him and threaten to tell my mother and sister if I'm not reimbursed. There is a chance, though, that my mother takes his side, because that's what children do for their parents when they are old. Yeah, weird tradition, I know. Here's Opie's update. I messaged my dad and told him that we needed to speak once I got off work. Instead of waiting, he just called instantly. I explained to him that it's good of him to try to set my sister up for success by helping her out with expenses over these 2 years. However, it should not be at the detriment of another child. I said, borrowing money from anyone and then switching up is deceitful, regardless of the situation or person. Wherever you are, look at any person you see. Remove $5,000 from their account without returning and imagine the impact it will have on them. I would rather not have to bring mom or sister's name into this. I don't need your support like you paid for my sister's entire colleges and more. I just want my money that I worked for back. I left things alone when you switched up on me after the $4,000, but now you just keep asking for more. This needs to stop. He did some guilt-tripping and talked about how money is in my head too much. I found it ironic. In addition to how things were a struggle for him since he was paying essentially everything for my sister, to the point where at work he'd have a small lunch. It's his responsibility to know how many financial responsibilities he can handle. Ultimately, he swore to his God that I would be reimbursed all the money I gave him for my sister's school and daycare, and the phone call ended there. Now, will I get anything back? No idea. However, this funding my sister's lifestyle saga is over, as I made that clear to him. He helped build her life up, so now he can leave me the hell alone monetarily. I think only one update is allowed on this sub, so that's all I got you all. Peace. Edit. Payments will be monthly installments, so each check he gets. Regarding telling my mom and sister, I am almost positive they will side with him and cite helping family doesn't have a cost or some spiel, so it likely doesn't help. Okay, OP, what I think should actually be happening here is, yes, your father should be paying you back the money, and your sister should pay him back at least half the money that he spent on, your money that he spent on her for her education and for the daycare. Now that she's got a job, surely she can repay him half the money. Especially since your father didn't do anything to help you get your education. Story number 3. My female 27 mom passed a year ago. It was known that it was a possibility. So my mom divided up her jewelry my dad had gotten her over the years to give to us if she passes. I had picked out 2 rings I had helped my dad pick out. They were not cheap, about $10,000 a piece when I got them appraised. When I left my husband, 30 male, I left pretty quickly and with basically nothing just to get out. He kept some of my stuff, but it was in our divorce agreement that certain things were to be given to me and held in a safe deposit box until I could get them. I took basically nothing monetarily from the marriage when I left and gave him basically everything. The divorce is now final, and I finally came back to my home state to pick up the rings. I found out that he did not put the rings in the safety deposit box, just some of my other jewelry. I confronted him about it, and I found out that not only did he not place them for safekeeping, he stored them in his new girlfriend's female 21 apartment, who says she had them in her jewelry box for safekeeping, but she can't find them. She knew what they were according to the texts I have, and that they were not his or a gift. I talked to my divorce lawyer. He's filing a lawsuit since 1. Inheritance is not marital property, and 2. My ex did not follow his end of the divorce decree. I am asking for $25,000, the cost of the rings, plus emotional damages for the loss of the only thing I have left from my mom. I also filed a report to the police for the theft of the rings by his girlfriend. That probably won't go anywhere though, but they are investigating if she or he sold them. I think it's a high possibility given the value. I'm devastated by losing these. They were so special to me. He and his girlfriend are pissed at me because it's too much money that they don't have. She could get charged with theft or laundering the money from selling them for my ex. Not sure. This is mostly from my lawyer, and it's just a couple of rings. His friends, my old friends who I don't speak with, have been blowing up my phone, calling me a bee, and I hurt him so much already, and to just leave it alone, that I'm getting what I deserved. I wish I could get the rings back, but I'm so upset at this and over his whole attitude about it, that I want to basically go scorch earth on them. At this point, it's not only about the sentimental value, but to give a big F you after everything. Am I the a-hole for suing my ex for my rings and potentially getting his girlfriend in legal trouble? Comment: not the a-hole. He needs to give you a complete and honest account of what happened to your rings. If he'd rather see his new girlfriend in jail than face the truth, well, it sucks to be her and be thrown under the bus. Opie replies, that's my biggest thing. I want to know where they went. If you would just tell me, locate them and give them back. I might not have to do this. It's not even about the money. It's about taking away something so important to me. Most likely they're in some pawn shop. I'm not in town much longer. But my siblings said they would search every pawn shop to see if one of them have it. Comment: if you have photos, you can have your family take them to the pawn shops and explain the situation. They won't want to hold on to stolen goods. Opie replies, we have photos, thank goodness. We took pictures when deciding who would get what, so that my dad knew who to give them to. Comment: who cares what his friends say? The rings were your property, and he either lost or sold them. Hold them accountable. Opie replies, I agree. I just hate how my phone is blowing up. It's hard to continuously be called a bee, / everything else they say about me. I've been thinking about changing my number over all of this. Here's Opie's update. I posted around a week ago about my ex-husband stealing my rings. I was getting nowhere with him. The cops seemed pretty uninterested, and my lawyer said that while we had a case, it could take ages. My family went through a lot of pawn shops, but couldn't find anything. I was feeling pretty horrible about everything going on, and figured they were a lost cause. Until a friend from my past messaged me on Instagram earlier this week. She never had sent me anything bad like other people. We just didn't talk. She linked a profile of my ex's new girlfriend's brother and said, I'm not sure, his fiancé's ring looks like it might be yours. This friend also lost her mother when she was younger, and she said she didn't care what happened between me and my ex, but she wasn't letting some guy take that away from me. We talked for a bit, and she said she was upset when she heard about the rings being missing, and my ex had gloated, saying I wasn't ever giving them back, and wanted to find them if she could. I went over to the page, and sure as crap, my favorite ring, a diamond with weaving silver and rose gold diamond paved band, was prominent in his engagement photos. I then went all CIA on them. looked at every family member this girl has, and found another sister with my other ring, saying it was a purity ring gifted by her sister for her 16th birthday. I was floored and very pissed. I called into work for the rest of the week and drove my ass back to my hometown, picked up my brother, and went to my ex's apartment. My ex answered the door and I lied, telling him that the cops were going to arrest his girlfriend's brother and sister for theft, and he could give me those rings back in 2 days or else. 1 day went by, no rings. So I messaged the brother's new fiancé on Instagram, showed her pictures of the ring on my hand / on my mom's hand, and said it was stolen and I wanted it back. This poor girl was appalled. I honestly think she had no idea. We ended up calling each other. She apologized and said she would talk to her fiancé. I told her that I was getting that ring back. We ended up meeting up. I showed her more proof it was mine, told her the whole story, and thank goodness she gave it back to me. She said she didn't like her fiancé's sister and that she thought she was bad news, and basically stayed away from her. She said she would talk to her fiancé about why in the heck he thought getting a ring from her would be a good idea. I guess word got out, and my ex started calling me incessantly, basically leaving messages saying he'd do anything, but don't make his girlfriend's sister give back the ring. It was embarrassing, etc. I picked my brother back up and went back to his apartment. This time, both his girlfriend and him were there. Yelling match started. My brother had to keep me from basically clawing the eyes out of that bee. I ended up literally sitting in their entryway, saying I wasn't leaving until I got that ring, or they could call the cops to remove me and I'd tell them about the rings. I don't know exactly what happened after that, but she left and came back with the ring after about an hour. The whole time my ex is saying my mom was basically his too, and he should have something from her, and it was only right. My brother was basically staying in between me and him, telling him to back off. When I got the second ring back, I stood up and just finally lost my crap. Years of him, and I don't think I've ever gotten that mad before. I screamed at him, told him off, and spit on him when I left. I don't think it was the most mature response, but it felt effing good. I'm also surprised that he didn't get a noise complaint / cops called on us, but the apartment isn't necessarily known for being nice. As for why the F that woman thought it a good idea to give the rings to her family, I don't know. I'm hoping that old friend might give me some gossip, or that I might hear from the fiancé, but honestly, I'm just happy that my rings are back and the drama is settled. I don't have to deal with them anymore. Nothing else is needed from our divorce decree. My boyfriend promised me a massage and cuddles from the cat when I get back into town. And honestly, I'm just hoping to never hear from them again. OP, fantastic job getting those rings back. Well, that's it for this edition of Wild Drama Stories. I'll see you again next time. Take care of yourself. Bye.